Potato candy from the Great Depression. Just like my relationships, candy is inevitably unhealthy, so potato seems a peculiar addition. Peel and boil 1 russet. Ah! This recipe only has 3 ingredients, so I'm a bit scared. Your time has come. Add 8 to 10 cups of powdered sugar. Cups? Cups! 8 is the low end. There shouldn't be 8 to 10 cups of anything. This is poundage of sugar. The potatoes are gone. It's turned to liquid. Are you a sorcerer? So much powder! Reminds me of my summers in Colombia. We literally now have a dough which we're gonna roll out. This is ridiculous. This potato. Jar of peanut butter. Every turn in this recipe has been a left. Come on. This feels familiar. To the fridge. Well. Mushroom. It's good. I'll be damned. Maybe you already know that the single best-selling song of all time is 1942's White Christmas by Bing Crosby, but Christmas songs are cooler than you think. Because you see, December is the only month where remarkably dead people begin outperforming artists like Justin Bieber and The Weeknd. They're earning more money and more playtime, these old 50-year-old songs. Like 1957's Jingle Bell Rock. This is a rare Decca promotional Pink label. These were sent out to radio stations before this song ever went public. But it's crazy to think that this exact record is topping the charts 63 years later. So if you ever want to live forever, make a Christmas hit. The Great Northern Nut Loaf from 49. Now, I'm not sure what makes this loaf northern. I just picked it because it has the most nuts I've ever seen. And I've seen my fair share. We start with nuts, which is unusual. In my experience, that normally comes last. We need 1 pound of mixed pecans and filberts. Filberts are hazelnuts, and they are my second favorite nut. My favorite doesn't come from a plant. Now we need to flour the nuts with 3/4 of a cup of flour. You know, I do prefer them defloured. A pinch of salt. Only a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. This is not going to rise, which is always embarrassing. Into a separate bowl goes 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. 3 eggs. Beat with a whisk. Never tried that before. Sounds painful. Finally, a 1/2 pound of dried figs. You know, fruit and nuts do go hand in hand. I would know. I'm both. Combine the two. It's literally just nuts. 300 for 80 minutes. Done. Whoa. It's a great taste, nice and moist, but very crunchy. If you hate nuts, I can see you spitting it out. Not me. Poor man's rice from 79. How do you make rice without rice? I say it's impossible, but our friends from the 70s disagree. We start with a 1/3 cup of water. I hate 1/3 cups. I don't have a reason and I don't need one. 3 eggs. Water and eggs. How very rice-like. Pinch of salt. 2 cups of flour. I don't know where this is going either. Probably downhill. We're looking for a breadcrumb consistency. Not me. I'm looking for why. Thought rice was the poor man's food. I would know. I have a music degree. Time for hands. More flour if needed. What? Done. I think. I don't know. Now into a very large pot goes 3 quarts of water. Stock cubes. I'm using beef. Fire! Get in! It's like the world's worst oatmeal. Cook for 12 minutes. What? I don't... What? It's not unpleasant. It tastes like overcooked pasta. It feels like oatmeal and looks terrible. It evokes nothing of rice, and I don't know why this exists.
You know what? I get it. You have fog lights. But guess what? Doesn't mean you always need to have them on. There's actually one very helpful hint to know if you should have them on, and that's if there's fog. What are you trying to find down here? Squirrels? Groundhogs? Onion rings?
Hey, Dylan.
Yeah.
How do you play old-timey jazz like that?
Well, you take your hand, you make it into a claw, and then you paw at the piano like a slightly angry cat.
That's it?
Yeah.
No. Wouldn't you be hitting wrong notes then?
Yes, sir. You know, you might have a Gucci belt. You might drive a new Porsche. Do you know what I have? I have a miniature pot for my Bush's baked beans, and there is nothing you can do to top that.
You know the joke where you can never get the USB in the correct way the first time? Well, I'm just making sure you knew that the logo faces up, right? That's it. As night follows day, it'll go in, and if it's on its side, then the contact insert meets the logo. Take a look next time. Hardtack from the Civil War. Yes, whether it's expeditions, famines, wars, or student debt, this is what we bake in times of crisis. We start with 2 cups of flour, 1/2 cup of water. I bet you thought there was more. Nope, there's not. That's right, this is the most basic recipe in the history of history. Talk about stretching $1. This is some spandex level stretch.
Oh, you're gluten-free? Sorry, all we have is gluten. We cut them into sad little squares. Time to poke some holes. You know, these kind of look like graham crackers. If graham crackers were made out of drywall. We then bake these boys at 250 for upwards of 4 hours to remove most of the moisture. And that's how these will last longer than even the most talented of men.
These are roof tiles.
Well, this is a first. Y'all really said Ford tough. Just aggressive. I mean, it doesn't taste bad. It's bread. Danger bread, but bread. Now, of course, you shouldn't eat them dry, but the taste is the same. A roughage loaf from 1892. Now, my first thought was, who comes up with this? And then I took a look at the front. My man looks like he does taxes for fun. We start with an entire cup of wheat germ. Roughage is what dead people call fiber. And this is enough to incapacitate one medium child. Half a cup of flaxseed. Sure this wasn't meant for a bird? 1 cup of buttermilk. And a cup of molasses. This takes a while to come out. Don't worry, I did too. Then we leave this to soak for half hour, just to make it edible. Half cup of prunes. No, of course it's the prunes. What else would it be? This man's really out here making people B-52 their toilets. This is either gonna plug you up or bring the morning thunder. Your boy said friendly fire. Cup of whole wheat flour. Have you no mercy? A teaspoon of floof soda. Get in, prunes! This is culinary terrorism. 350 for 40 minutes. When I tell you that this is a brick, I mean it. It is a piece of masonry. Tastes like a bookshelf. Books included. That is bad.
These are the secret gay magazines of the 1950s and 60s. You'd not think they'd exist because of sodomy laws at the time, but they did. They masqueraded as fitness magazines under macho names like Physique Pictorial and Vim, only to be read by those with an interest in bodybuilding. In reality, of course, they were aimed at the young closeted men of the United States, and the pictures inside make that very obvious, like this man who's having a hard time getting his belt on. As an added bonus, they were nice and small, so you could hide them from your wife. They were available for discreet purchase at your local pharmacist or by mail, but unlike actual magazines, these were never copyrighted for fear of unwanted attention from the United States government. And sure, you know I love the 50s and 60s, but for obvious reasons, I'd never want to go back there. They are a cool piece of history, but in many ways they're quite sad. So the next time you get mad at a TikTok thirst trap, just be grateful we're not in the dark ages.
What's the texture like? Difficult to describe. It's a kind of dense. Good for the winter.
A pepper cake from 1915. Instead of regular flavorings, this cake uses peppercorn and caraway, which is an interesting idea because it's awful. Half cup of butter. Sugar. 2 eggy. You hate to see it. And a cup of syrup. What do you want, Miss Butterworth? Ma'am, this is very runny, like me in an hour. To a half cup of sour cream, we add an entire tablespoon of cracked pepper, caraway, and then the floofers. Introducing the world's worst dip. Get in, flour. A cup of raisins. Love those. Yay. Bacon oven. Well, at least you specified the appliance, huh? I was gonna bake this in the dishwasher. Oh, this is bizarre. It tastes like an identity crisis on a plate.
The Adventures of Suki and Roger.
Come here, Stu. Oh.
Come on, Roger. So you know what this side on the accordion does, but what exactly does the left hand do? Long story short, it's just bass notes and chords.
Now, I know this looks a righteous mess, but I promise it makes sense. This whole thing is called the Stradella bass system, and all you really need to know is that everything is organized in these diagonal rows of 6 here. Organized in the circle of fifths going up, fourths going down, right? It's not one just big jumbled international crapshoot. Your 2 leftmost buttons are going to be your bass notes way down in the basement, daddy, and then you've got your 4 rightmost being your chords. Just focus on one row right here. This is your C row. 2 leftmost, remember, are bass. The rest are chords. So in this case, this is your root C. Next up is your counter bass. That just means a third up from your root, so a third up from C is E. Then you've got chords. C major, C minor, C dominant 7th, C diminished 7th. Circle of fourths going down, this is F. Third up, A. F major, F minor, F dominant 7th, F diminished 7th. And that is the same all the way up, all the way down.
A jellied meatloaf from 1931. We begin with a pound of ground beef. You don't want the sky beef, that would be scary. Fire! Who's mooing now? Strain it and let it cool. It's not dinner time until you add a pack of gelatin to some water. Onion and celery. Celery. You know what stings more than a knife, Mr. Onion? Rejection. Now 2 cups of chicken stock. Time to boil. Strain the stock into the gelatin. No veggies allowed. Thank you for your service. Now that this is thick, we add in the beef, pimentos, and then we mix. This is revolting. No.
What a joy. To the fridge. Good morning. Oh! Incorrect! It's a cat food recipe! Choke! The maximum speed limit in this entire country is 35 kilometers per hour. That's 20 for my Americans. I think I've ran faster to take a dump. In fact, the country of Bermuda is one of the slowest driving in the world. Some of these roads can actually be as low as 10 kilometers per hour. Also known as get out and walk. Quite necessary, I might add, because of how small our roads are. It's not uncommon to have to pull over and give way to oncoming traffic. In fact, our roads are so small that all top 20 of America's best-selling cars are outlawed because they're too big. So, the next time you're in Bermuda, don't speed. A chocolate sauerkraut cake from 48. Thought this was a joke. Turns out I'm the joke. Sauerkraut, a whole cup, soak in water and then drain. Better. 1.5 cups of sugar. Cream time. You can use a mixer, I just do this to feel something. Eggies 3. Flour. 1/2 cup of cuckoo. Baking powder. Water. Yummy. Fold in sauerkraut carefully. Or what? I'm gonna ruin your disaster? Can a cake be tried for treason? In she go. I know it's open! Sleep tight. Wow. Bring buttercream and chocolate to a boil. Fire! Okay. No. Incredible. It feels like coconut. I don't taste sauerkraut. Either chocolate fixes everything or this is alchemy. Whoopie pies from 47. Now, making whoopie is an art in some parts, and depending on whose parts you're in, a cream filling may be inevitable. The state of Maine is no different and finishes their whoopie small and soft. We start with a 1/2 cup of shortening. Cream together with a cup of brown sugar. Creaming is essential. It's why we're all here. To bake. 2 eggies. Then you go, looks like sending the cat brought up. The dry ingredients are 2 cups of flour, 1/2 cup of cocoa, 1 teaspoon of sodium bicarbonate, and a salt of pinch. Then alternate folding with 1 1/4 cups of buttermilk. Bit of this, bit of that. Ooh. Time to scoop. 375 for about 9 minutes. Wow! Did I scoop them too big? They smell good. For the filling, we'll need 3/4 cup of shortening. They loved shortening. 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1/4 cup of water, whatever you say, and 1 pound of powdered sugar. Good word. Sugar! I'm hungry. Oh, they're so soft. These are cakey, not cookie-y. And it shouldn't be, but that filling is good. These are grand. Big fan of the whoopie. A Charlotte Russe from 1927. Behold the dawn of refrigeration. Jiminy cricket. Henceforth, the icebox requires no ice. Witchcraft. Instead, it is simply no box. We start by softening 1 ounce of gelatin in a 1/2 cup of cold water. One mustn't fear gelatin. Just work quickly and don't let it sense your dread. Now we scald 2 cups of moon juice. Fire! 1/2 cup of sugar. Then beat 4 eggies with another 1/2 cup of sugar. Round and round. Temper. Then all together. Cooking until thick. Strain. Do you see this? This means I'm a professional. Cool it before lining a loaf pan with fingers. What kind of fingers? Lady. Oh! Whose fingers these are, we'll never know. They might even be Charlotte's. Sorry, Charlotte. Okay. Finally, we whip 1.5 cups of cream with some vanilla beans. Fold. This is what we call a Bavarian cream. And then very carefully, to the fridge. Morning. Ooh. Wow, that's fantastic. I'm just chuffed. It's stately. Look at it. You are perfect. A mystery pumpkin pie from 78. Now, I love a good mystery. Like, where do the bugs go in the winter? And why are birds? Today's mystery is a pumpkin pie without pumpkin. Start with 30 ounces of navy beans. Oh, God. Are you in the holiday spirit yet? I'm not. Pop them into a chopper. Go ahead and save your bean juice for something deplorable. And a 1/2 cup of evaporated milk. It's milk with less water. Safety first. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. Next, we beat it. Oh, God. 3 eggs. Beat in with 3/4 cup of brown sugar. You ever just want sweet, milky beans? This cookbook would believe so. And it is just called cookbook. 1/4 cup of melted butter, pinch of salt, and a tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice. I've actually got some here from 1979. Do you think it's still good? I mean, it's a bit nuanced. Then into the shell. No, I didn't make my own. This pie is made of beans. 350 for about 55 minutes. Just wait. Ooh, I don't know. It is surprisingly palatable. However, it's a pumpkin pie if the pie were meaty. The mystery that chews back. Sturdy. It's very chewy. A snowball cake from 66. 'Tis the season for balls of snow, so making a cake of one seems apropos. I'm a poet. And this is George. We start with a box mix of devil's food cake. It's called devil's food because it's the opposite of angel food. In goes a cup of water, boring. Third cup of oil, American. And 3 eggs. Oh, you better watch out for George. Next, beat 8 ounces of cream cheese with another eggy and just a bit of sugar. Why? I don't know. Then grease a 3-quart bowl. What? Are we baking this in here? You don't typically bake in a bowl. Spooning the filling in the center. And you can get baked by one. 350 for about an hour and 10. Well, she's puckered up a bit. It's a mammary. Small box of vanilla pudding. This one's French. It's given up. What a surprise. Dusty. A cup of cold moo juice. 3rd cup powdered sugar. Do a little whisk. Tub of Cool Whip. Applied to the cake as best you can. La, la, la. Coconut. Snowy. And a cherry to top your winter cake. There's a nip in the air. That's the cream cheese. Yum. It is fun and whimsical. I like the snowball. Yeah. Toll House Inn chocolate chip cookies from 38. Miss Ruth Wakefield in the state of Massachusetts is to thank for the nation's most favoritist cookie. It is a legend and one also found in my new cookbook, Baking Across America. Newsflash! There he goes again. Dropping in May everywhere books are sold. Open for pre-order. Start by creaming a cup of butter with 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar and 3/4 of a cup of sugar. You can cream using a wooden spoon, a mixer, or unmitigated arousal. Next up, we got the 2 eggs beaten. A bit of vanilla cookie. Dry ingredients are 2 1/4 cups of flour, teaspoon of soda, and a full teaspoon of salt. Now for 14 ounces of semi-sweet bar chocolate, which is 3.5 of these. But that's so much chocolate. And chop it all up. Fun fact, these are the cookies that invented chocolate chips. They didn't exist. Get it? And then all chocolate. Look at that. Now, if you like them crispy, you can skip the parchment and just grease your baking sheet. 375 for about 10 minutes. A buttery crisp shell surrounding gooey chocolate. This is the cookie, the standard by which all others are judged. But frankly, these are what you leave out for Santa. Marvelous. Puppy Chow from 89. Sometimes I don't think the Americans realize just how wild and zoinked their creations are, and by all accounts, this recipe seems to be a fine example of that. Start with a 12-ounce box of Chex. What kind of name is Chex? They're rather geometric. Also, I don't know which one is the right Chex. You guys got rice, wheat, corn, gas, diesel? Melt together a 1/4 cup of butter, cup of semi-sweet chalky chips, and a cup of peanut butter. But Dylan, you say, what if I'm allergic to peanuts? Repent. You and your ancestors have obviously done something to deserve such a malady. Once everything's melted together, add it to the cereal, mix to coat. Oh my goodness. Then all of this gets coated in powdered sugar. Doesn't say how much, just says to eyeball it into a bag, scoop some in, and shake. What kind? What? Looks like I microwaved a squirrel. Again. I'm rather sure you could just add powdered sugar to the bowl, but this must be some ritualistic American practice. Ooh, whoa! Now in the States, this seems to be a popular Christmas gift. Just like my books. Oh, it's good. They're hollow. Oh, jumping gingerbread. Forget the bowl of nuts at Christmas. Just have a bowl of this. A seafoam salad from 72. This here Midwest creation comes from a time where salads were lost in a deep, dark abyss. We start with a small box of lime Jell-O. The abyss beckons, over which is poured 3/4 of a cup of boiling water. The lovely hue of 3 Mile Island green. In goes an 8-ounce can of crushed pineapple with the juice to the fridge. Next, we quarter about a 1/2 cup of maraschino cherries. It's okay if your fingers turn pink. I'm told red 40 grants eternal life. Next, chop a pear. You know the idiom going pear-shaped? How do you think pears feel about that? Feel free to leave the skins on unless you're American. Now we beat 8 ounces of cream cheese. It seems to be getting worse. Slowly pour in the Jell-O, whisking smooth each addition. I wouldn't call it smooth. In goes the fruit. Oh. And finally, we fold in a whole tub of Cool Whip. I bet you saw this coming a mile away. What is in this bowl right now is beyond classification. And chill. Good morning. Did you know I had a new book coming? You should check it out. It resembles foam insulation. As the kids would say, that's a lot. So sweet. At least the ingredients agree. Like there's no marshmallows or coconut. It's just pretty far removed from the world. Shortbread from 1950. So shortbread is one of those hard things to date. It fears commitment. But it's much older than 1950. This was apparently a new way to make it. We start with a cup of salted butter. As you all know, salted butter comes from salted cows. Now beat the daylights out of it. These old cookbooks would actually tell you to beat for like 400 or 500 strokes. Between you and me, I don't think I can last that long. Next up is a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar with more beating. Finally, 2 cups of flour, kneading together by hand. Once it comes together, we go ahead and roll it out. I can hear you say, Dylan, you're not chilling the dough. That's not right. Well, you go right, I'll go left. In both directions is a cookie, honey. At about 1/3 of an inch thick, you take your glass, or cookie cutter, if that's below you, and go, oh, that's good. Boop. 300 Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. And while you roll these scraps out a second time, you can check out my second cookbook. Well, they're a good height and they're slab-sided, but are they shortbread? That's some buttery shortbread. Don't trust anyone who doesn't like shortbread. And if that's you, don't trust yourself. That's a good method for a top-tier cookie. So, no shouting or jump cuts.
দাওয়াতে গিয়ে আমার খাইতে ভালো লাগে না। অনেক মানুষ আছে না আশের মতন ক্যাত ক্যাত করে গলা পর্যন্ত খায়।
1 কেজি খাসির মাংস আনতে পারবেন?
ঢিলা পানি ঢিলা স্বপ্ন ভাবি নাই।
সে পচতেছে বিদেশে আর আমার আচার পচতেছে এইখানে।
দেখবেন হুট করে কার ছাগল লইছেন?
মতিন মিয়া নামে এক বুইড়া লোকের ছাগল। পেটে সমস্যা নাকি?
হ্যাঁ না গেছে গা, ঠিক আছে।
এত চিন্তা করার কি আছে? উপরে আল্লাহ আছে না? চা খাইবেন?
তোরা রিক্সা উঠতো আমি দিয়াহি তোকে।
সি 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 ভাইজান, এটা কি কনা?
আমি নামাজে গেলাম। আরে না, ঈদের জামাত, উপায় আছে দেরি করনের। আচ্ছা হুনো, কাশেম কাকার বাড়িতে যাবো নামাজ পড়া, মাংস বানাবো, মাংস লইয়া উনে।
তাড়াতাড়ি আইসেন। নিজেরে কি মনে করেন আপনি? বিশাল কিছু?
আমি কুসুমের যাওয়াই, অবশ্যই বড় কিছু।
ও ভাবি, এত স্বাদের মাংস ফালাই দিলেন কেন?
আর কইস না বোন, আমার একটা রিং আসছিল, আমি একটু ঘরে গেছিলাম।
পাগল নাকি?
ছাগলই তো মনে হইতেছে, দুইটা ঠ্যাং কম।
জি বাদল ভাই, ঈদ মোবারক।
ঈদ মোবারক।
বাপির লয়ে বাড়িতে আইও।
কত টাকা নিছে?
কত টাকা নিছে এটা দিয়ে কি করবা? পছন্দ হয়েছে নি দেখো।
ইংরেজি দিয়া দেশটা শেষ। খারাপ, ছাগলের পাশে খারাপ।
এটা কিসের মাংস ভাই?
গরু।
খাসি মাংস দেন আমারে।
খাসি নাই।
ছাগলে আর কি কি খায়?
পোলাও খায়, কোরমা খায়, চিতল মাছের কোপ্তা খায়, সালাদও খায়, সব খায়।
আপনি তো একটু একটু পড়াশোনা পারেন, রিক্সা চালান বাদ দিয়া অন্য কিছু করন যায় না? এই সময় বাড়িতে এসেন কেন?
বোর গোসল দেখতে।
মিশা কথা। ছাগল কিনছেন, টাকা পেয়েছেন কই?
তোমারে কই নাই, জমাইছিলাম।
তোরা মাংস কাটতে এত দেরি করে ফলাইলি?
কাকা আপনি তো কইছিলাম যে আরো 2জন লোক দরকার, আপনি তো রাজি হন।
আপনি সেমাই খান, আমি এটা পইরা আসি। আমার আর তর্স হইতেছে না।
আরে সারা শুধু শুধু খাড়ায় আছো কেন? একটু হাসো, ফ্রি ফ্রি ছাগল পাইতাছো।